The manor house at the end of the alley, where they say, Wilhelm Tell will come through this hollow lane, could really use some renovation.
It's indeed about time, especially now before fall.
Absolutely, because if you own such a magnificent castle, you definitely need an impressive electric car, right?
Sure.
And then, when you have a castle like Schloss Hohenseritz, you don't want to pull up in just any electric car, right?
No, that should still look a bit like something.
That means something individual, something special in the design, something special in the quality inside. And maybe for a few of you, it's certainly not a mass-produced item. I've prepared the brand new Genesis GV70. Electrified just for you. You're in for an abundance of electric power and a vast array of the finest materials available. And all of this is skillfully integrated into the sleek body of a genuinely very beautiful designs where surely some will say it appeals to them, while others might find it a bit too pompous. I don't know. Feel free to write in the comments how you see it. In any case, today we want to do a classic review with a test drive to see what values the Genesis GV70 electrified embodies, what you get for your money, and what strengths and weaknesses this vehicle offers. Additionally, we will show you the consumption drive with a charging check so you can get a feel for how it is to travel with such a car, how high the consumption is, how quickly you can recharge, and how comfortable the travel comfort is. I would say before we start, please check if you're part of the einfach elektrisch community, because we would be happy if you support us with a subscription, ring the bell, and then you won't miss the second video with the Genesis GV70. Stefan, I would say let's get started, shall we?
Go!
And as always, we start from the outside, start from the front, and take a look at the front of the brand new Genesis GV70 electrified. And I have to tell you, Genesis has developed this signature design where you can easily recognize it even from a distance. For one, there is this uniquely distinctive grille that catches the eye, which is closed because this vehicle operates solely on electric power. It's also available with combustion engines featuring diesel or gasoline. More on that later in greater detail. We have the fully electric version, once again some cooling openings located here below, and a radar sensor. That's all done in a very stylish manner, combined with the advanced technology package and the adaptive and intelligent LED headlights, which naturally also feature matrix lighting capabilities. A cool thing. Yeah, let's stick to the bodywork a bit, Stefan. Here we can nicely see these power domes, and we can also see how brilliant the Genesis logo, which perhaps even evokes a bit of a Bentley feel, and then it's beautifully embedded. Well, I have to point out, Genesis focuses significantly on aesthetics and style, putting a lot of effort into detailed metal shaping and sleek, captivating design lines. It extends beautifully along the main line here, gracefully falling away toward the rear section. It's not just a car that's been slapped together casually, but rather it's truly meant to be a significant statement for someone who chooses to drive such a vehicle. Represents. In our case, this includes two 35/55 R19 tires and a rim that, yes, somehow doesn't quite manage to have the typical glamour factor, does it?
I suppose there are nicer ones.
Optionally, of course, you can also get 20 inches with Genesis. Here they've added white brake calipers for another €330. The reason why they are white now is beyond me, a mystery that perhaps might even remain concealed from us indefinitely. In Korea, where the car comes from, it's always about lots of chrome, bling, leather, and all of that is included here. That means we have a nice silver anodized roof railing here. Then surrounding the windows, there is corresponding aluminum detailing. We have aluminum extending all along the entire bottom of the sill area. There are aluminum handles on the doors. Thus, anyone who prefers the elegant look of shiny aluminum instead of the typical matte black or glossy black will likely find their ideal option in a Genesis model. Absolutely discover what they're looking for. In this space, chrome and shine remain very much the order of the day, so to speak. When Stefan takes a few steps back, we will also catch a glimpse of that gracefully sloping rear, the sleek coupe-like roofline, and the beautifully designed rear section that once again stands out in has very beautiful design elements that might remind you a bit of Bentley, with a split design where the indicators are recessed at the bottom and a reverse light. That's all super chic. You feel confident, put on the Genesis logo GV70. We're electrified, but as mentioned, it's also available on a mixed platform here paired, optional with combustion engines. A rear-edge spoiler is definitely a must-have, and what's also essential is a thick, prominent, body-colored shark fin antenna, the Genesis badge.
Alright.
Surely they could have thought to integrate it cleverly into the car's bodywork, the mirrors, and the windows, just to eliminate the unnecessary bump on top entirely. They could have avoided mounting the rear wiper so low here, Stefan, wouldn't you agree?
Yeah. Better let that disappear up top.
Certainly, we demonstrated that quite effectively with the NIO EL8 too. I highly encourage you all to take a look at the video about this truly remarkable Chinese derivative. So, in that sense, you might say it could be done differently, but I must admit, this look is a unique selling point. Once more, please observe the C-pillar, featuring the small window set within, and then this line that curves upwards here, goes across here, dips down here, and then returns back once more. But here, where it's interrupted, I have to say, it's awesome. Also, how the metal is bent here, creating such a nice double silhouette to give it a bit more expression, to get an impression. I have to say, I really like it, and you can tell that Genesis doesn't simply throw a car out there and say, hey, buy it, but rather Genesis genuinely says, hey, this is a gem. It wasn't initially intended as a mass-produced product by us because Genesis is part of the Hyundai Motor Company, which, however, doesn't mean they wouldn't like to sell a lot of these cars. But just say, whoever drives a Genesis wants to make a statement somehow, right?
Correct?
Reminds me a bit of Gentlemen from the Past with a Mercedes-Benz star on the hood. Yes.
They were always to blame.
Bei Genesis ist das gesamte Erlebnis anders. Niemand geht für Inspektionen oder den Service zu einem Mercedes-Händler. Genesis provides an inclusive 5-year warranty standard. Additionally, there is a fantastic 5-year pickup and delivery service as a part of this great package offered to you. The service intervals are included in the price for the GV70 electrified, so basically you have 5 years. Such an all-inclusive package wouldn't be the market experience because Genesis has been on the market for a while, and unfortunately there aren't such good reviews for it. You have to be honest, right? So, Genesis has to, because then you have a personal contact who looks after you and also the car. I believe there's some catching up that needs to be done, and I've heard Genesis is actively working on it. And ultimately, it is a new product here on the European market. We've given other manufacturers time, only with Genesis are we sensitive. But that doesn't work, does it?
Not really, no.
If you're considering going for a Genesis, you'll need to bring quite a bit of patience and empathy with you, especially when dealing with such an innovative and brand new type of product. Let's talk about the technical specifications. It is 4 meters and 71 centimeters long, and although it appears much larger visually, it's actually a good size, right? Yeah.
Looks compact, for sure.
1 meter 99 wide plus side mirrors, which means the left lane on the highway. It's going to be damn tight. For comparison, it stands at a height of 1 meter 63. I'm 1 meter 85 tall myself, and the wheelbase measures 2 meters 87 overall. Positioned inside is a 77.4 kilowatt-hour battery pack. Utilizing advanced 800-volt technology, a net of 74 kilowatt-hours is available for use. Reminds us a bit of the Hyundai Ioniq 5, Ioniq 6, and the Kia EV6 because it naturally comes from the modular system. There it comes, even though it's not developed on the electric platform since it's on a mixed platform with internal combustion engines. Yes, it can also charge, a rascal who thinks ill. Yes,
It would definitely be fitting.
that's impressively swift. I went and reviewed the technical sheet once more to be sure of everything. Here, from Genesis, from 10 to 80% DC. Here then behind these caps. With up to 240 kilobars at peak, and ideally from 10 to 80% in 18 minutes is the goal because there are always a few discussions if we might not manage it in the second video with the consumption test and the charging check that we would cite any false information. We're not that dumb after over 600 videos that we can't read and that we can't notice that. It's 3-phase charging, by the way, with 11 kilowatts, and it's a front charger. A front charger is actually quite practical, Stefan, as you drive forward. But look at all this stuff and noise here with these caps, also unnecessary. Why not just flaps? Exactly, I would find that much, much nicer. The flap, by the way, opens and closes manually here and then locks into place. You could have electrified that a bit too. So AC 3-phase 11 kilowatts, which means 77 kilowatt hours, about 7 hours from empty to full, and DC up to 240 kilowatts at peak. In the most ideal conditions, it would take around 18 minutes. Let's hope that today we will be able to manage this somehow successfully in the second video. Okay, Reloaded, so from that view, top values.
At least that's what it promises.
Currently, you can always get the GV70 electrified as a sport version. Sport means a 180 kWh electric motor on the rear axle, powering the rear axle, plus a 180 kWh electric motor on the front axle, powers the front axle. Combined, this results in a peak output of 360 kilowatts, or in the old currency, 490 horsepower. Moreover, for that purpose, you have a special boost button. It provides you with 10 seconds of total max power. Without the boost function, the max output is just about 430 horsepower. Should be enough, I believe, right?
I think that's it, yeah.
700 Newton meters torque with boost, 0 to 100 in 4.2 seconds, testing soon. And top speed of 235 kilometers per hour and perhaps a little more. We'll definitely test that later during the consumption drive along with the charging check. I would suggest we go ahead and take a look under the hoods. Now, certain critics and some cynics might say, yes, it's a mixed platform. How does this all fit together? I must say, very, very good. I also like the BMWs, which are built on mixed platforms and create all worlds accordingly. And I am actually quite a proponent of open technology, even though I have learned how to travel comfortably and efficiently with an electric car. Yes, the hood is nicely equipped with some efficient hood vents, has proper insulation because we also have air conditioning unit here. Having the electric drive, we have some really nice power struts here to effectively cushion and support the entire body, which weighs a good 2.3 tons. That's really important when we move into the dynamic section, then later when we're in sports mode. And we have a frunk that comes with a generous capacity of 25 liters, where we can comfortably fit at least a Type 2 charging cable, or alternatively the optional vehicle to load set, which somehow costs an extra 1,000 euros. Wow, yeah, I was definitely surprised by that. I really thought Genesis would have included it in the package. But that's how it is, and those who use the vehicle's features often probably find it worth it. And we want to take a closer look to determine the value this hood holds by carefully closing it. Stefan, count down. 3, 2, not sure I dare. Ah,
Come on, be brave.
nice Genesis air.
All right, 3, 2, 1, here we go.
Start. Just so you know, the exterior color U on our test vehicle is actually called Savile Silver Metallic.
What is that supposed to be? What is Savile?
Yeah, like a silver gold gray metallic. It looks really kind of fancy, don't you think?
Definitely, but no idea about the name.
It starts at around 69,000 euros, by the way. That means with our test model's equipment, we're at about 83,000. So it includes all the packages. Technology, package, comfort packages, seating packages, you know, all the usual stuff. And hopefully it has a big trunk, right?
Can only assume.
So how can we open it up?
Indeed, I have looked over there earlier too.
But I showed it to you, right? Here on the rear wiper, there's a little button. In my opinion, it's quite nicely done. Porsche could indeed learn a thing or two here. The new models have a big button, which I personally find to be much sleeker and more stylish in appearance. Then we have this nice wobbly parcel shelf, which is actually quite handy because you can put things on it. And then we have an accumulation volume of 500 dry liters per layer. That's really quite decent, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, something can fit in there.
That means, I guess you can easily travel very comfortably with 4 people and all of their luggage. Underneath here, there's also a compact storage space, just right for keeping charging cables or a small lunch snack conveniently within reach, like the one we'll treat ourselves to later. And what makes Genesis very high quality is the Type 2 cable, also in such a box. But you can see, then you always have a bit of clutter that limits the usable space of 503 liters. And what Genesis does exceptionally well is using a beautiful hard plastic up here, with the Alcantara headliner behind it. More on that later. Then we have this little plastic strip detail, and down here, everything is covered in the finest carpet fleece. This is really high quality, it doesn't scratch, and it also insulates the car better against noise, which we will measure later regarding the interior sounds. And here, we have nicely anodized and brushed aluminum. Then simply entry-level power. It's quite chic and stylish, really impressive. And if you say, well, 503 liters aren't enough for me, what do we do then?
We fold the seats.
That's a brilliant idea. However, what's really missing here, Genesis, and I have to point this out constructively, is a really lovely and practical pass-through. That means either making the middle 20% foldable or incorporating a convenient pass-through via the hopefully present center armrest to neatly slide or store a longer object. to understand. What's great is that the rear seat latches are spring-loaded, meaning they fall forward elegantly at the touch of a button. And so the 503 liters expand to 1,678 liters, and then Stefan's cooling freezer combination fits in there too. When you bring it to the workshop for a visit, that's quite a great story, isn't it? Perfect. That's really sensational, isn't it?
Quite ideal.
And whether you believe it or not, Stefan, here is the vehicle-to-load setup once again, what our car has. That means inside, there's a Schuko socket plus a 12-volt socket, 180 watts, plus the adapter at the front for the front charging port, allowing for another 3.6 kilowatts with an additional external. But are you curious about which specific features can be accessed or operated electrically within the system?
It may close electrically.
Exactly. And what Genesis also offers, just like Kia, is this smart tailgate control. So you don't have to perform some kind of kick like an ex-soccer player or contort yourself awkwardly, risking a fall on the cobblestones. No, it's enough if the car is locked, which it isn't right now. You approach with the key, then it goes beep, 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 and then the trunk opens. Awesome technology, awesome idea. We've talked about roof slope. You can, of course, also mount a roof rack with at least 75 kilograms of support load. And if that's not enough for you, 503 1,678 liters?
Tow bar optionally offered.
For 1170 bells, you get a detachable tow bar that can handle an unbraked capacity of 750 kilos and a braked capacity of 1,800 kilograms. How incredibly awesome is that?
That's already good.
And 1,800 kilograms is brilliant in that sense because you can probably fit 2 horses behind a cool sports boat, the Dutch Caravan, or the German one. And there you just have a payload, right?
Indeed.
And what's really brilliant about these 1.8 tons is the front loader, because we don't yet have those trailer-compatible charging stations where we'd have to detach the trailer on the side, right?
In and out. Bulge cut, move forward, edge closer, load, and the trailer goes up.
Exactly. Like later in the consumption handling at the charging check, Ionity the Meanerland trailer blocks the road while the car charges in front.
That's also a great idea.
It only takes 18 minutes altogether. Let's make our way indoors and have a look inside. We start chronologically with the disc, which is essentially a double-layer disc that is connected together with a thin film. And that is absolutely wonderful for being able to hear the interior noises right here once more. Cut it down well. Stefan, accelerate more. It's starting to rain. We have a great door panel here, all covered in Nappa leather thanks to the Nappa leather package. Lexicon sound system for just over 1,100 euros on top. Then the seat memory. We have window controls and mirror adjustment, but down here it's a bit harder, yet soft plastic, where somehow an insert, a carpet, and a mat are missing. And what you can also get for a price of 140 euros is the brushed aluminum, which I would highly recommend because it really looks super stylish and adds a nice touch. Welcome to the interior once again, where we can take a closer look at the dashboard. Let's proceed in chronological order. We have a nice, large, and very sharp head-up display that covers all the essential functions. I have to mention, however, that maybe the latest augmented reality features, such as those available from brands like Mercedes or BMW where arrows are animated to fly over the street, are not incorporated in the Genesis just yet. A driver information display, which you have the capability to switch to a 3-dimensional mode in several different stages. I really only know that from the Mercedes S-Class. Nice feature. I quite like it. Still, it's definitely a matter of personal taste. You can switch it in the system here if you want. Electric steering wheel adjustment is available for both height and, naturally, distance and tilt options as well. That's a great story. And as I said, we covered everything here with the Nappa leather package with the finest Nappa leather. Additionally, it's beautifully finished here with a light seam, which fits remarkably well with the light Alcantara headliner, as the Spaniard might proudly say. That's incredibly chic. The multifunction steering wheel has recuperation paddles, a classic indicator stalk, and wiper control. It features haptic buttons and is upholstered with the finest Nappa leather and light stitching. So that's just super, super classy. And the highlight is in the 3-spoke design. Then here is the boost function, which is not operational at the moment because we are stationary, where you can utilize the maximum power output of 360 kilowatts and 490 horsepower for a duration of 10 full seconds. Now, you need to differentiate a little. Who exactly is the target audience for a Genesis GV70 electrified? It's likely not the most cutting-edge, futuristic electric car that you could possibly expect. So that's all said to the disciples of our American super electric car maker. But here it's about Conservative classic values combined with the highest quality material mix. So it's essentially the complete opposite, and I don't mean this negatively at all compared to an American superhighway concept. What we do have here is a very, very nice infotainment display. It's not 21 by 9, it's, I don't know, something like 24 by 8 or so, I would just guess. Reviewing the Genesis document probably would have provided the precise details. However, I believe it's not particularly significant at the moment. Initially, I thought, just like the old Audi models where displays would elegantly pop out from the dashboard panel. That's honestly kind of not very cool at all.
Yeah, I also think it's a bit far away, right? Is it just me?
Well, I agree with you on the operation. You definitely need long arms like mine and a forward bend to comfortably be able to reach it properly. However, while you're on the move, when you're using it, perhaps the camera could move back a little more so you can better see my head. I'm gazing outside and I have an excellent all-around view through the side mirrors along with my head-up display. Additionally, at just the right eye level, I can see the infotainment display perfectly.
On one hand, that's good again.
Yeah, and particularly when I make use of the card display in just the right way and let it smoothly navigate me, it really feels genuinely just absolutely brilliant and convenient beyond belief. Because I have the perfect overview here.
Right, you can glance right because there I am. Perfect.
And it's much better situated there than if I had a gigantic super screen here. Or, I don't know, like with the Hyundai and Kia derivatives, just at that level. That's actually perfect.
Yes.
It distracts much less from traffic. I honestly find tactile air vents absolutely great. The only thing I find a bit annoying is that we've already had the Aura 07 for 14 days now. Here's the start button, right? Yeah, with the Aura breakdown, it started, close the car, and it automatically turned off, right? Yes, just like a Tesla, yes. But why is there this button? Well, I don't understand it because every single time I have to press this little button over and over again, which he already likes to do anyway because he's from Asia. Turn off this little button, which feels kind of unnecessary in my opinion. Feel free to share in the comments how you guys see it. Now, moving on, we have a really nice and convenient climate control menu available here where we can adjust the temperature with these very, very high quality and premium controls. You can choose to synchronize or not for both the driver and passenger sides. Plus, we have the luxury of seat ventilation on board as well as seat heating. You have a driver-only feature for when you drive alone to be more energy efficient, and you can adjust the car's function, world class in my opinion, like in my Mercedes EQS back then, in 3 levels. Again, said it. The only downside, I must say, which I have come to appreciate and love about the OLLI 07 GT, especially when we had 30 degrees, is that of course with these static sliders, which you can operate blindly while driving, a downside, right?
So which one?
This fan function. That was just super awesome.
Swipe left, right, exact.
Especially here on our Usdom road trip with the OR07, it was super smooth because you come from the overheated Baltic Sea, symbolically at 32 degrees, into a pre-air conditioned car and are nicely fanned with fresh cold air. That's just great. You don't get that with tactile things, of course. Well, I would say there are always 2 sides to every truth. Then we have a shortcut function for the infotainment display here. Especially for you, Stefan, designed for short-armed individuals, so that you can switch back and forth very, very easily here. By the way, that was meant nicely, not in a mean way, just in case anyone thinks I'm dissing Stefan here. I think we work way too closely together not to be able to air our opinions. Here, everything is also very, very beautiful. Then I would almost say it almost feels like faux leather, but it's probably a high quality plastic. Again, faux leather with a compartment. We've got 2 USB-A ports. Sure, maybe at some point you might possibly upgrade to USB-C, right?
Yeah, an adapter, if necessary.
Exactly, my large American smartphone fits in here too. I believe there's also an inductive charging pad included. Then we have the switch for the drive modes here. This means you can toggle between eco, comfort, sport, back and forth. Unfortunately, it doesn't have an eco function, but when I switch to sport mode, it kind of firms up the seats a bit. Okay.
Then he pulls it in.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then you have the opportunity to push here again, and you have snow, mud, and sand for terrain because after all, we're in an SUV. Yeah.
Supposed to handle it all.
Then there's a dial for adjusting the volume, a back function, a home button, and the rotating control dial. Particularly those BMW drivers opting for Genesis will really appreciate this rotary push knob as it comfortably accommodates people with shorter arms. Can also easily utilize this convenient function here with the rotary push button. Auto hold functionality, and here once again is the gear selector, all crafted in a very elegant and stylish manner. Then we have two cup holders here. Yes, regular size where we can store quite a bit of stuff, alongside two cups, and of course our interior noise meter. And we have a beautifully large center armrest with a small compartment like this, all beautifully lined with the highest quality felt and carpet. That's classy, and again, finest Napa leather here. I have to admit, I really do understand why people say they want everything to be completely vegan and animal-free. I completely understand that and think it's perfectly fine. Still, I'm from the 75 generation, turning 49 this time. I'm a leather kid.
You know? Yeah, I like leather.
And that's simply a completely different kind of feeling altogether, a whole different sort of sense of worthiness. And that's also a completely different kind of feeling. I already observed that with the GV60, and I'm saying this without developing any fanboy tendencies. You're stepping into a car crafted by folks who truly have a passion for building cars, you know what I mean? Yeah. And you notice that right here on the door handle. When you shut the door, it has that distinct sound reminiscent of the way it used to be back in the 70s or 80s.
No rattling, no echoing. It's truly very nice.
I'm certainly not a spoiled only child. My parents actually drove me all the way to Italy in a VW Santana. And for me, all of this seems like just fancy luxury stuff. However, when you really see it, when you actually experience it, I believe you can truly come to appreciate its value, right?
Sure, yes.
Absolutely. That's also incredibly well done. And then once more here with this light beige Alcantara microfiber headliner. Here we have a total of 4. Microphones, once again, specifically designed for voice command functions, or when you need to make a phone call. Many of you might also be using this as a business car. Everything here is nicely covered with Alcantara. That's very high quality. There's also an option, which our participant misses, for around 1,700 euros. To get a panoramic glass sunroof installed. I find that personally super stylish and really chic. I do have one improvement in mind, Stefan. Well, actually, I have 2.
What are they?
So for one, take a closer look in my 911 here. And then optionally choose this steering wheel cover crafted from luxurious Napa leather. Yeah, I believe it was around 300 for my 911. And another feature that stands out would be, of course, you can also have the grab handles leather wrapped by Porsche, right?
Yes, that would be good.
Yeah, you know, with the nice stitching, that's really classy, right?
Looks good, yeah.
Through the passenger door, you can see how well designed and ergonomic my sitting position here really is. So I honestly have to say, that's simply perfect concerning the heights. You also have the ergomotion seats here where you can enjoy using the massage function on both the driver and passenger sides. This is also incredibly brilliant indeed, and I must say it's truly an impressive level of quality that Genesis provides here. That's already more luxury than premium. Yes, sporty seats are naturally part of the GV70 electric sport with proper side bolsters. As mentioned, they can be inflated in sport mode, so you get nicely wedged in there. Maybe there could have been just a little bit more support provided for the thighs. Yes.
Could have been a bit higher, yeah.
What's great is you can extend the seat surface. So always consider this. Don't go for the basic model with the GV70 Electrify if you can afford it and want to. Full package, because then you actually have the seat extension, the massage feature, seat ventilation included, and also the comfort headrest that you can easily adjust up and down. And like here with the Napa leather package, there's this awesome diamond stitching. Additionally, there's the presence of these white trims over here, and then you have the white seams here as well. I must say, this all feels quite classy.
That surely appears exceptionally top-notch.
So, and even here, look please, glove compartment leathered in the finest. Felt lining inside, so nothing rustles or rattles, and also on the side. Look, thick, heavy carpet, where the transmission usually sits in a combustion engine car. I must say, that's really impressive. And when you look at the dashboard again, the leather isn't just hinted at, it stretches right to the window. All right, folks, you can always bring up the topic of prices in the realm of electromobility. Yeah, and here we come to the price point, which I just don't comprehend, Genesis. If you get it with a diesel engine, 201 horsepower, it starts around 49,000 euros. Take the turbocharged auto engine. I think 2.8 extra, you're at a solid 52K. Why is electric at 69? So because as of now, unfortunately, there are no subsidies available anymore. And the leasing rates, well, they're quite steep indeed with Genesis.
Yeah, that's really not nice.
Well, what I also find quite good is that this car is maybe not going to be a part of everyday life and isn't meant to be, but is specifically intended for a clientele that truly values this particular kind of high quality. And I don't want to say that the car isn't worth the substantial amount of money when we look towards the Mercedes EQE, BMW X3. They're not any less expensive. They're actually even more pricey depending on the equipment. The EQC, which is no longer being manufactured, you don't get anything for free with these, But what I don't quite grasp, and I have to push back a bit on this point, please take a moment to write your thoughts in the comments on this matter so we can perhaps collectively share our opinions and feedback with Genesis. Because the Genesis. People, they will certainly also read the comments. Why 20,000 more? Is it for an electric model or something like that? Yes, that's correct.
That really needs to be thoroughly explained somehow, at some point.
6 Fuß und 81 Zentimeter in ein Coupé optisch linienförmiges Elektro-SUV. I'm quite curious to find out how the space actually is in the back seat area here. Come on, let's check this out together. Back here in the rear seating area, I have the option to adjust the angle of the backrest using a handy switch that's conveniently located on the side panel. In this reclining position, it might actually be just a tiny bit too far reclined for my comfort. I prefer it to be a little more upright, though you can certainly adjust it if you like. Yes, a nice softly padded center armrest covered again with the finest Napa leather, with 2 cup holders. Even here, the ergonomic design carefully ensures that my elbow won't accidentally slip into this cup holder when I'm seated. I really would have liked it if the center armrest had been just a bit longer. That would also perhaps suggest more premium and luxury. Yes, a pass-through, as I said, is missing, so that in winter we could just slide the skis through. We have all-wheel drive, or even a long item from the hardware store. I find that a bit unfortunate. What I do appreciate, on the other hand, is the fact that we have a really nice and extended seating area available here. It's often the case in electric cars that the seat bench is so short, and especially if you have slightly longer legs, this is very nice here. She could perhaps have been tilted just a little bit more to suit my personal seating comfort preferences, but that's just a minor point. Again, very, very individual. Yes, in the back, one honestly has to admit this could potentially also be a result of utilizing this mixed platform design. By combining a combustion engine with electric power, you surprisingly find less available space. Therefore, when it comes to traveling with 4 adult people and their luggage, it is somewhat restrictive and might impose a few comfort limitations. However, most people typically use such a car with 2 occupants, maybe plus kids, or even just by themselves. And here you indeed have plenty of space because I can effortlessly move the seat entirely to the back and completely downwards. And I have more space here in the driver's seat than in the electric S-Class, the Mercedes EQS, for example. Yeah, what I don't like is that we have the finest Napa leather here and then high-quality plastic here. I think the GV60 also had some leather covering, but I might be mistaken. Here we certainly have a really nice bag. I believe you shouldn't have skimped on that. Down here is a nice felt carpet made, which is again very, very high quality. Well, Stefan, what we don't have, if you come over here to the center armrest, is USB-C, but we do have USB-A, and then back here. Well, there's no climate control for the driver and passenger side, but just the third zone, so to speak, for the back seat.
But at least there's seat heating for both sides.
Yeah, I saw there might be a package, or I'm not sure if they've removed it, but there used to be rear seat ventilation. Sure, I'd have celebrated that too. It's quite exciting in the EQS because you're driving, I'm editing videos in the back, and in summer at 32 degrees, I can turn on the seat ventilation and massage. That's already very helpful. No, joking aside, we don't actually want to compare my old EQS with the Genesis GV70 here, but a bit of bells and whistles can definitely be handy, right? Yes, true. But Genesis does offer the G80 electrified in the limousine segment.
Okay.
That would indeed be quite a very, very intriguing vehicle possibility for all of you. Maybe we'll get a test car there again. Yes, otherwise here, once again, the finest Napa leather. Then also very, very nicely done here again with the piping, with the stitching, perforated, like I said, adjustment. Then also very, very nice light beige straps. Then again, in contrast. I have to say that's astonishingly, unbelievably stylishly crafted. Plus it features a really beautiful aluminum hook to hang up the clothes. Plus, there's a door panel that's beautifully duplicated from front to back, ensuring that no corners are cut or spared in any part of its exquisite design. This is all stunningly, incredibly high quality. Plus, there's an optional blind installed at the rear for enjoying a bit more privacy and enhanced protection from the sun. All is great here.
That's all exceptionally high quality.
Do you know what's not so great?
Here's the clapper edge again.
First, this is hanging here awkwardly.
Yeah, because it's somehow on the column above.
I don't know why it's not there. And then just soften it up a little bit, or perhaps cover it with some beautiful fabric or maybe some nice leather. The entire thing would certainly be better. Take a look, it has a truly nostalgic vibe with the knob here.
Those are always the things that get blown away first.
Well, but we show everything, Stefan. We don't want to sugarcoat anything here. We show what's good and what's not so good. What's also good are indeed these felt mats. They are definitely good too. So, feel free to write in the comments how you all perceive the quality of the interior. But it did rain down quite nicely, didn't it? Yes.
Lovely. Was really quite good just now.
I'm curious to see, since we're done outside and inside, if it will hit the 4.2 seconds in the driving report with the boost, even on these wet roads from 0 to 100, right?
We shall find out.
Let's get the ball rolling. Quite a significant number of you are using those electric SUVs within urban environments as well. And of course, turning radius is an interesting topic. Here we have it with the GV70 electrified. 11.5 meters, that's a really decent value for 4.71 meters length. And with that, I think you can maneuver well in urban environments. In an urban environment, parking is naturally an important and crucial element. And in this vehicle class, having suitable and appropriate parking assistance is, of course, absolutely essential. That means there will definitely be a parking assistant too, but all of this takes way too long for me. I prefer taking care of it manually and then using a reliable 360-degree camera system for support. I must say, the display is wonderfully clear, easy to read, and comes in a convenient size that is nicely proportioned for such functions. Also has an optimal position since my eye aligns with the height of the infotainment display and the side mirrors, giving me a clear view. Additionally, I have multiple functions here that allow me to virtually navigate around the car again. That implies I might have been able to park a little more to the right-hand side here as well. I have a trailer mode back here, which is important for those who are into trailer sports. Then it also includes the guiding line to indicate where the trailer swings out. And naturally, we also have this helpful side view option here to ensure the rims stay safe and protected. With 19 cylinders, it's not that intriguing.
Fuels, farming, clearing change.
Exactly, and then we have the feature here again with nearly 180 degrees, especially when the situation arises where we want to reverse out of a driveway comfortably. All right, let's go ahead and switch to drive. Naturally, we also have an additional top view available for us here. We have this side view here, and we also have this kind of 180-degree function. That's always important, especially in a big city, on a sidewalk.
Cyclists, pedestrians, everything crossing here. You see it all.
In an SUV, being tall and bulky with the hood is crucial, particularly for small children's safety. Yes, very important that they are really visible. That is very at heart, yes. We have cobblestone pavement here, which provides the perfect opportunity to thoroughly test the adaptive suspension a bit. Aside from our gear rustling and clattering, nothing else.
Null.
Truly nothing at all. Also, there's a nice comfortable roll. This means they're using cameras here, for instance, to regulate the damping to be more intense or gentler as needed. Plus, of course, you have input from dynamic sensors. So today's modern adaptive suspensions are almost or sometimes even superior to traditional air suspension systems, right? Although having a nice soft air suspension would definitely be another highlight. Yeah.
That would certainly be a little more comfortable.
But we're here for sports.
Sure.
We want to take you on an enjoyable drive along our winding country road. Today we're proceeding a bit more cautiously because there's a clearly noticeable slick layer from the rainwater here. There's dirt and leaves all over the road, so unfortunately, we cannot drive through here as swiftly or quickly as we usually like to. But you can definitely notice here that this car is constructed very solidly and experiences relatively minimal roll and sway movement. What you occasionally hear rattling here is our water six-pack, which we always keep on board. It's because we experience such high temperatures that it's important for us to stay adequately hydrated by drinking enough. That's what you should do, especially in summer. Yeah, here it goes nicely to the left, here it goes nicely to the right, and then with the load changes too. And I have to say, the GV70R handles that effortlessly. It doesn't break a sweat anywhere. So that's really great, isn't it?
He does that well and handles it all smoothly.
And what Genesis has managed to achieve, in my opinion, is this remarkable spread. Having a sporty and dynamic SUV, but also pairing it seamlessly with an exceptional level of travel comfort. Yeah, because most of the time it's like the car either pounds the speed bumps into your spine and ends up not being very comfortable at all. And here he somehow creates such a brilliant mix.
Yes, okay.
I've smoothly transitioned into sport mode here, and I've gone ahead and activated our draggy. This is the GPS-based system that accurately tracks and displays our speed. And I've gone ahead and activated the boost function here because it's only with the boost function that it is supposed to accelerate all the way from 0 up to 900 kilometers per hour in an impressive 4.2 seconds. Stefan, I would say countdown, right?
Okay, then 3, 2, 1, and let's dive deep into it right now.
He's pushing the 2.3 tons forward. 60, 90, 100 kilometers per hour. And of course, we'll do the brake test too, which might show more deceleration than expected. He's really experiencing a lot of trouble with the brakes. I was really surprised there. I'm actually used to something different from Genesis. 0 to 100 verified via GPS in 4.43 seconds on a wet road. Kudos, 4.2 factory specification. Wet tires, wet track, not exactly the perfect surface. Hats off to Genesis, that's incredibly awesome. 0 to 60, 2.4 seconds, 0 to 50, 1.99 seconds, and 60 to 100, 2.3 seconds. Man,
That is truly something worthy of commendation.
well, holy moly. And I have to tell you, we're going to do another launch without boost in a moment to show a comparison, right? Yes. We continue venturing further along our winding route, embracing even more significant risk. On this wet road, the path veers right with bumps, then quickly left with more, keeping drivers alert. We're driving here at 900 km pro Stunde, which is allowed, and it handles it smoothly even on a wet road. I don't even have the slightest sensation that it might begin to understeer, could unexpectedly break out, or possibly slide. I have to say that's an awesome suspension. It's fun because it rightly deserves the name sport in my opinion. And I think I wouldn't take these curves at 100 with most cars here, swerving along.
Right? Nah, you don't think so.
Here there really isn't any ESP or anything like that, at least not obviously. So please don't try this at home, but I think with the GV70 electrified and 360 kilowatts, 490 horsepower, you can really have some fun.
You can definitely have a bit of fun with it.
We successfully completed the U-turn. I went ahead and reset the draggy, and right now we're just in the put the car in sport mode. Stefan, do a countdown.
Counting down, 3, 2, 1, let's go!
And off he goes, hitting 30, 50, 70, 90, and finally 100. Now we're commencing the brake test, and come on, come on, come on, come on. There's more potential, so I have to say honestly, a little more could be useful there.
Yeah, maybe it was more like wet paint that he noticed or something similar.
0 to 100 in 4,96 seconds. Sounds right? Specs are 4,6 or 4,8 without boost. Then it's got about a solid 430 horsepower, going from 0 to 60 in 2.79 seconds, 0 to 50 in 2.31, and from 60 to 100 also takes 2.18 seconds. Those numbers are indeed genuinely impressive and very sporty.
Yes, it's quite fun.
And you must not forget, this isn't, so to speak, the Lamborghini Huracan with a V10 naturally aspirated engine, but an electric SUV weighing 2.3 tons and measuring 4.71 meters in length. And I have to say that's really awesome, and just accelerating quietly is pretty cool, right?
Yep, sure.
It's likely that most of you will find yourselves using it mainly in the normal mode, or as it's known here at Genesis, the comfort mode, or alternatively in the eco mode. Then of course you can anticipate it to have a somewhat reduced throttle pedal response characteristic, and it probably also exhibits a slightly diminished drive power output from the electric motors as well. But surely it's got enough punch, doesn't it? And take a look, we can also very smoothly cruise back at a leisurely 100. We've got some solid bumps here, and when I do a bit of throttle shifting, naturally we experience some slight rolling motions. It doesn't have a roll stabilization system like you would find in something like a standard Cayenne, but also here the curve, it takes it nicely, although the left curve here at 100, which we just took on the right, yeah, it pushes slightly, maybe just a bit, over the front axle. But I must say it's fun, right? And even here in Eco, we're moving along quickly, Stefan, aren't we? Always. But I tell you, this brake, you know, it's just not enough for me. So you guys need to improve a bit, although I obviously don't have any figures right now. Good cars manage to go from 100 to 0 in around 32, 33 meters, especially those equipped with sport brake systems. But it feels like we're more towards the end of our 30s here, right? Yeah, feels like it, right?
Feels right.
So please feel free to leave a comment if you have more detailed information about the braking distance of the Genesis GV70 electrified. I talked to Stefan again about the brake, and I also want to, please don't give a wrong impression. We obviously have a special situation here compared to other tests. We are dealing with a wet and slippery road surface right now, along with naturally wet tires. These factors, combined with an advanced anti-lock braking system that effectively prevents the wheels from locking up, naturally ensure, in conjunction with these damp and challenging conditions, that the braking distance becomes longer. One has to be honest and fair about this fact, perhaps, but you still need to find ways to make it significantly shorter, wouldn't you agree? Always. Let's get to the interior noises at 50 kilometers per hour. 52, 53, you can definitely go ahead and give it another try if you'd like. Crazy, right? I mean, I'm really positively surprised the Mercedes S-Class is at about 56, 57 decibels while we're driving at 70. 55, 56 decibels, that's the Mercedes S-Class, and let's accelerate to 100. It goes quickly. 61, 62 decibels, by the way. That's a VW ID Toy 3 at 50 kilometers per hour. So I have to say what Genesis has really packed into the door panel here not only sounds good and high quality, but it also dampens well and feels high quality. Combined with the double glazing, I think that's an absolutely top value. So you really get a very quiet, smooth car here. We also noticed that with oncoming traffic. You can hardly hear the car most of the time, and even the large truck only made a brief and rather subdued noise. Well, I believe that's truly quite sensational. Yes, let's go ahead and transition to discussing the assistance systems without further delay. We have the Advanced Highway Drive Assist 2 on board, which we're eager to utilize here even on the country road while driving at 90 kilometers per hour. And this reflects what we unfortunately have also observed with the corporate siblings, which includes the Ioniq 5 and Ioniq 6, as well as the Kia EV6. That it does not perform quite as effectively on the country roads as it does when driving on the highway.
No, sadly not.
That's why it's named Highway Drive.
Correct, and not Federal Highway's Drive Assist.
That means you have on board a steering assistant, a lane keeping assistant. Even when the system is off, it supports you very, very smoothly in the background, but just not perfectly centered in the lane. I must say, Genesis is still a little bit behind the competitors from the Volkswagen Group derivatives, as well as the established brands like BMW and Mercedes, but I am confident that they will soon manage to close this gap effectively, because that's genuinely important. I'll do this once more. Driving at 100 kilometers per hour, as I've always enjoyed in my Mercedes EQS, to be fair, which surely, as I am aware, most likely costs double. But with this one, you could just go ahead and sand through semi-autonomously. And here, you see what I mean? Well,
He pushes you out.
exactly, and I need to correct that now because safety first is, of course, a priority here. It probably could have just managed it, but just barely making it is definitely not the standard we are aiming for. We always aim for perfection when it comes to line guidance. Generally speaking, for the majority of you, this semi-autonomous assistance feature will be exceptional. I'm thoroughly convinced that both Genesis and Hyundai, as seen here, will significantly enhance this feature in the upcoming months and years. This improvement might even occur through ongoing software updates, meaning you could receive performance boosts even after purchase. I truly wish for you to benefit from these advancements, as they will undoubtedly enhance your driving experience considerably. Alexa's sound system was even on a scale. Well, I'm genuinely the kind of person who's deeply into audio, you know, an audiophile type of person. Not Audi like the car brand, but fiercely devoted to high-quality audio experiences. I also used to have a keen interest in a company named Audio because I am very much an audio enthusiast. I would even go to the lengths of getting a high-end Burmester system for 3, put in 4500 because I just love listening to music, listening to awesome podcasts. And for me, a sound system is just quality of life. If you feel the same way, you should really think about investing around 1100 euros in the Lexicon sound system because it genuinely turns the car into a small concert hall, enhancing the overall experience significantly.
That is definitely true.
What definitely shouldn't be missed, something I did once, immediately got countless comments, is naturally Stefan's popometer serving as the ultimate benchmark for assessing travel and ride comfort. Stefan, take it away.
In the meantime, I even got it EU certified. Imagine that.
Ah, great, a patent on it.
I have a patent on my butt.
Nice one.
The seats are absolutely awesome. Really, you can say that the sides, especially when you switch over to sport mode, kind of wrap around you a bit. I think that's awesome. I don't think long distance is even an issue here. Chassis.
In the second video, we test consumption drive charging speed. Don't anticipate, yes.
Important. Other than that, there's nothing to complain about. The suspension is super smooth, even as a passenger. The dress moves all over. Great.
And what I can only recommend to you, of course, is to take this. Emotion seat. This means you have a button on the seat where you can switch between the waist area and the whole body. I always use the whole body. Then you can trigger a massage in various intensity levels at the touch of a button. Combined with seat heating during the winter months or seat cooling during the hot summer, it's just a nice little added perk. Yes, very nice. And if we were to assume, which will surely also the likely case during our comprehensive consumption drive, achieving notably high ranges with impressively low consumption levels. It absolutely makes sense that we find a bit of relaxation and relief there, which helps to make ourselves a bit more alert and awake during the drive so that we can stay focused and drive with safety as the top priority. So from that perspective, I believe the Genesis GV70 electrified actually offers support here in the upper and luxury class as well. However, certainly rightly so, with a corresponding running cost attached. Last but not least, we definitely want to have a conversation with you about consumption, both overland and through the city. We've done all the acceleration tests, drove efficiently, and that over 48 kilometers. If you take a look, Stefan, we have an average consumption of 23.8 kilowatt hours here. I'm going to go ahead and reset this consumption data right now. Can you tell me why it isn't working properly in this situation? Am I somehow in the wrong menu? Just hold it down like this. Reset. Because we're now driving a good 7 kilometers through Neubrandenburg and we want to take a look around the city. What the GV70 electrified really consumes when driving in an urban environment, so you might be able to estimate that for your weekly routine by scaling it up using the 74 kilowatt hours of net usable battery capacity. Where I need to correct myself is that it indeed has augmented reality arrows displayed in the infotainment screen. This implies that it's intended to symbolize the concept of walls in this context. Previously, we've conducted planning of routes through the use of voice commands. That worked out excellently. Quite surprisingly, he's also managing the loading planning process here as well. Indeed.
He does. And notably, he set it up swiftly.
Right? So I don't know why it didn't work with the GV60. A number of people wrote in the comments, yes, indeed. Perhaps I didn't yet have the new software at that time, but considering we use press cards directly from the manufacturer, they ideally should be completely up to date.
Let's assume that.
You've also got Apple CarPlay and Android Auto Wireless included with the system, which is indeed a really nice, convenient, and practical feature to have. Displayed here in a very, very high resolution on the infotainment screen, ensuring crystal clear clarity. Let me just add a little bit more on this. Yes, we have already passed through Neubrandenburg, driven 5 miles, covering that distance with an average consumption rate of 12 kilowatt-stunden per every 100 kilometers. It's simple when you're on 74. We could feasibly cover a distance of about 600 kilometers.
Yes, you also drive in the city.
Why wouldn't you? If you happen to drive 40 kilometers each and every day with this car, you would end up needing to about every 15 days, which is roughly twice a month. Charge using AC for a duration of 7 hours with the 3-phase 11 kilowatt setup, or alternatively DC for say around 18 minutes to boost the battery from 10 to 80%. This is because naturally the Genesis GV70 electrified is equipped with a system that allows for preconditioning of the battery, enhancing efficiency and performance. And with that we come to the interim conclusion of the Genesis GV70. Electrified, and I have to say I am pleasantly surprised by just how much I am drawn to this design in its natural form, and what truly stands out for me is the fact that you finally have a car that looks refreshingly and distinctively different from what you typically encounter on German roads. Genesis has rightfully placed significant emphasis specifically on ensuring exceptional quality and the utmost value of its materials. This means that, particularly in connection with the luxurious Napa leather package, you are presented with an impressively refined and upscale experience, which I believe to be a unique and high-quality interior arrangement, showcasing Alcantara on the headliner and Napa leather almost everywhere except on the backrests of the front seats. And that's beautifully paired with a remarkable paint job on the exterior, known as this Savile silver metallic finish, or at least that's how I'll refer to it in English. High-quality paintwork with excellent gap tolerances, truly exceptional and valuable. Sheet metal bends that you just don't really encounter much anymore in today's world. Everything was somehow so cheap or cost-optimized in assembly. That's, I think, the right expression. When paired together with such a unique design, I must certainly say it's truly quite great. Here, a door still sounds like a door. The only thing that might appeal to some people who are a bit fancy, I'm partly like that too, I admit. I also like to be self-critical. Might be soft close. I mean, at least it has the tailgate, right? Yes.
Lesser.
Nevertheless, I must say it's a fantastic car, and I highly recommend taking the Genesis GV70 electrified for a test drive. However, Genesis really needs to improve their service quality, which I must emphasize. Unfortunately, I've read and heard several negative comments in forums and from fellow YouTubers, which is a bit disappointing. This could be a deal breaker for me, especially given their 5-year service promise, which sets certain expectations. 5 years warranty, plus 5 years pickup and delivery service. I think that should work in this price range starting from $69,000, in our test vehicle $83,000, right?
Yeah, sure.
Otherwise, you could have just easily mentioned or perhaps stated proceed onward to the next point dealer.
First, find out exactly where you should be taking it.
And with that, we finally reached the conclusion of today's video. I really hope you all enjoyed watching it. And if you liked it, give it a thumbs up and check if you're part of the einfach electric community. Feel free to support us with a subscription so you won't miss it when you ring the bell, the second video with the consumption drive, and the charging check of the Genesis GV70 electrified. Thank you for watching. Stay healthy and see you soon, yours Ollie. You, Stefan. But you really could have done it differently now, right? Without the shark castle, eh?
Honestly, for $86,000, what this thing costs now, Christmas, $83. Get rid of it, Rin, it's blocked off. Other artists as well.